It's Easter Sunday. We're live, and some of us are livid and have missed a sea of chocolate. We've all watched some football this weekend that possibly doesn't live up to the extravaganza. See what I did there? That we've got up our sleeve for you tonight. Welcome to the Mickey, the Magic, the beautiful game. I'm John, and with me tonight are Stephen, Charlie, and Nick. How you guys? How are we?
Hey guys, you okay?
You all right?
Apart from my lousy intro.
I
was trying not to take the chocolate bit too far because Nick's just got so much angst to share. I just thought, no, I can't make the connection between the colour of chocolate and the football team's performance that he's about to download on all of us.
Oh, where to begin? Where to begin?
Well, I tell you what. Before you do, because I think this is going to take up most of the show. For regular viewers, can I just say it's really good to be on and celebrating a Liverpool victory for once in goodness knows how long, which means that Charlie and Stephen are actually finally happy on a Sunday night for the first time in ages. So. It's been a real strange weekend, and I don't know. I think the best place to start, guys, is probably the very first game of the weekend because I have been on the phone today, obviously to offer my sincere apologies to Mr. Allardyce for constantly dissing him for every single show that we've done, telling him how much I hate this style of football, and actually. It's one of the most entertaining games I've ever seen an Allardyce team actually go out and perform. They were brilliant. They actually went and they attacked Chelsea and they got the result that they actually deserved. So I'm going to start there, guys, because I'm going to say I hate Big Sam with a vengeance. I'm an Evertonian. I'm allowed to. Yeah. But they were brilliant yesterday, and the lad who scored for them, I think his stats. He's only scored about 5 goals in his career, and 3 or 4 of them have been against Chelsea. So I think that's something. Callum Robinson, I think his name is, and fair play to the lad. I think Chelsea will sign him up for next season just so he doesn't score against them.
Yeah, that's their usual tact, isn't it?
Yeah,
just go for everyone that seems to play really well against us, and it doesn't really pay dividends in the end. Timo Werner, anyone?
I'm happy with John. I'm happy with that result. It gets us this in the top 4 now. I was in the Lake District yesterday going for a walk when that game was on, so I didn't have any signal. And when I come back, I put the signal on. I was just sitting there flicking through the results for the day up to now, and then I seen that West Brom had beaten them 5-2, and I just took it back. I was not expecting that. Not at all. Even with Chelsea going down to 10 men, I would never have said they'd have won 5-2.
No way.
I'm just doing my research. I don't know if you can see that. Probably not.
That looks like Mourinho's research at Newcastle on the screen. Yeah. It's like a white screen, completely blank.
And I'm just checking out because I've not really seen any games over the weekend, so I'm just checking out the highlights, and I've just.
Oh, you're all right, Nick. Don't you worry. You didn't miss it. We'll just keep this. I'm going to keep everyone in suspense before we just keep holding fire on that sort of download of grief. But anyway, Liverpool. Go on, lads. You can have your moments. I'm going to shut up for 5 minutes.
Talk Liverpool. During that Chelsea game, I was sad to see Pulisic injured again. He left. He scored their first goal. It was a really good follow-up, and he looked hungry. And then he couldn't go back on after halftime because the hamstring injury again, it looks like. And he just keeps on getting injured. And I hate that because he's like the American big hope. He's like the biggest player for the American national team. And if he keeps getting injured, you got to start wearing the number 15 and go join Sturridge somewhere in Accrington.
I think we touched upon it last week, Charlie, because I think all of us are aware, as England fans, which is where we had the discussion last week, we were discussing how the American system was actually bringing these younger players through, bringing them into playing within an environment. And I think Pulisic is just the epitome of push him out to some of these European teams. I don't think he's in the right club at the moment, and I think there's probably better fits, even within the Premier League. You know, I think we even mentioned last week if he would fit into that Liverpool team amazingly.
Yeah,
he's not in the right. He's not in the right team, and I think that's possibly putting him under a bit of pressure, which is possibly even why he's picking the injuries up that he does. It's, you know, it was really unfair yesterday because if anyone hasn't seen it, he ran out after the half-time break. He crossed onto the pitch and then basically turned around and he pulled his hammy. It was one of them moments you just thinking, oh, the poor lad. He needs a bit of luck. He really does.
Or could you put that down to the new training regime that Tuchel might have brought in?
Yeah, I think so.
Pulisic's been hurt in the past, though. I think he was hurt. Wasn't he hurt under Lampard as well? I just don't think Americans in general are used to any type of rigorous routine when it comes to training. I mean, compared to Europe, no, I say absolutely not. You know, I think it's at a totally different level. And, you know, they got to get used to being tougher. They got to run and just keep on running because they're just not, in my opinion, I don't think they're up to snuff in regards to physical preparation. That's all.
How long has he been in Europe now, Pulisic? He was in Germany before here, wasn't he?
Yeah.
You know, so he's been here a while. It's not like he wouldn't have been used to that kind of training regime as well, because Germany are pretty much, we're pretty much here, but Germany are, they take it to a different level. I mean, Liverpool, when Klopp first come over, you seen them, we struggled, you know, when that first, and we were getting injuries left, right, and centre because of it, and then they got stronger. But he's been here a while now. He should be strengthening up. How old is he now, Pulisic? I'm just wondering if he's at that age where his muscles are still developing, that, you know, they're a bit prone to it.
I don't know how old he is. He's still young. He's
still a young lad, isn't he?
Yeah. So his body might just be getting used. He's just getting used to it. Or me, I'd have him at Liverpool tomorrow. I think he's a brilliant player. But like you said, just in the injury proneness of him.
Well, he likes Chelsea. Chelsea's his team. So I guess we go play for
he's 20. He's 22. To answer your question.
Yeah. So he's still very, very young. He's right at the start of his career. You know, it's weird. There's someone that you know of and you've heard of for years. You know, and he's only 22.
Yeah.
Been around a while. I think give it a couple of years, and I don't think he'll be as injury prone as he is at the minute. I just think it's his body.
You're right. Yeah, I hope you're right.
You know, Steven Gerrard went through it right at the start of his career. He was always injured because his body just wasn't there. It was still developing, but once he got developed, it was fine. You know, I don't think we should slap the number 15 on him just yet.
Not yet. Yeah. I know.
It's amazing. It's amazing when you look how many games he's actually played, though. You know, it's like 130 games since 2016 in Germany, and then also in England as well. And that's a lot of games for the first team. For the first team are two very, very prolific football clubs, isn't it? You know.
Yeah.
And I tend to agree. You know, Nick had sort of alluded to that as well, as the fact that, you know, they pick up these injuries and it's not good. But I think we're onto something. I think it's his body and his age, and give him a couple of years. I think he's gonna be superb. I really do. I'd like to see him at Everton. I'd see him in an Everton shirt. If they're selling for $5 million in the summer, that's it.
I don't think you'll go for quite $5 million.
I tell you what, if we can pick up James Rodriguez for next to nothing, then anything's possible, isn't it? You know?
He's definitely going to be the US's poster boy, I think.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
Happy Easter to Stacey. Thanks, Stacey. Happy Easter to everyone as well.
Yeah. Thanks, Stacey. Good to hear from you. There we go. And I think as well, I'm going with the chat as well, because know fine well that let's get on to Arsenal, because as much as Chelsea were rubbish, maybe it's a London thing this week. Maybe that's what it is. All
I'm
the
not
teams.
too tough for that, Tom.
Maybe that's what it is. It's a London thing because Chelsea were absolutely garbage. Arsenal were absolutely appalling, and I know the two Liverpoolian supporters will beg to differ, but you've got to turn up. You've got to actually. I keep going on about this, and I will go on when we get to Spurs as well, Nick. You've got to turn up. And Arsenal didn't bother themselves. They, Stephen and I were talking before we went on air, and go on, Stephen, tell us the stat at half time, wasn't it?
Yeah, so at half time they pulled up something, didn't he? Where he had the average positions, and I had to double check because it had Aubameyang further back than the left back. I'm like, that's not right. What's just going on? Yeah, the average for every Arsenal player was in their own half. They just didn't come out and play.
And they just look. They didn't even try. They weren't even trying to. I wouldn't mind if a team gets beat and you get beat 3-0 at home. You don't mind if your team's actually gone running after the ball. They've actually really tried to make sure that you're trying to do your best to stop anything. They didn't look as if they gave a monkeys about it at all. When Tierney went off at half time, that was it. Arsenal knew that they were going to get beat big time. The lad who came on, is it Suarez, or whatever it is, Cedric. I tell you one thing: if I was an Arsenal fan, I'd be buying him a plane ticket out of London. I tell you, he was rotten, absolutely rotten. And I give Liverpool the due. They knew fine well. Go down the Liverpool right-hand side, and it was a complete weak spot. And after we talked about him last week, your man Alexander-Arnold really did come up trumps. Absolutely superb. He knew what he was doing, and I think he really did run the show for Liverpool yesterday. And I'm fair play to the lad after not getting a call up for England. He showed he should be in that England team first on the list.
Southgate should leave him off the roster more often then.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that.
I think he should do. I think Southgate left him right where he needs to leave him.
I think with him not playing for England over those 3 games, he's fresh.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of the others have played internationals throughout that week, so he's going to be more.
Yeah, I thought it was brilliant yesterday. That crossover for Jota's header, that was just a pin perfect cross. That it was brilliant. Yeah, as much as Liverpool were great yesterday, I'm with you, John. Arsenal were absolutely awful.
They were shocking. I've got to say, I think in the past, I think we've looked at sort of a lot of our awards that we've looked at the fact that maybe they're the team that flatter to deceive. Maybe they're the ones that are punching above the weight because they're trying to rebuild. I don't know. They were absolutely dire. And if I was an Arsenal fan, where are you going? Because you got rid of two previous managers at Arsenal, got a sack for being in 6th with a better record than Arteta currently has.
Mm-hmm.
I can see what Arteta's trying to do because I can see the fact that he's inherited a lot of players from just random buys, all of the same style of player, but they just don't look. They don't look as if they're playing at all. They just don't look as if they're worth watching.
No. You got to give them at least 2 or 3 transfer windows, though. I think you got to give a manager a good bit of time. That's not his team yet. That's still a lot of.
No, but I'd also put on the other side as well, because they're now the level on points with Leeds, right? So Arsenal are 10th, Leeds are 11th, both on 42 points. And I know which team I would rather go and watch, and I know which team I'd rather put the telly on to watch. And they get turned over occasionally, and they just put their hands up one of them days. But they come back the following day and they put double the shift in. And Leeds are a great side to watch, really entertaining. There's days it doesn't come off for them, but it's exciting. But you look at the wages that Arsenal are playing. Aubameyang and Lacazette, and they both couldn't look as if they could hit a barn door. They really couldn't. They are shocking. I don't know. I fear for them because where'd you go when you're spending that much on wages? Where do you go? And I don't know. It's not often I've laid into Arsenal this in all of our shows, but Arsenal were so poor, and they were. I don't know. I'm not even going there, because if it was happening as an Everton fan, I'd be tearing my hair out, and the season ticket be sort of being chucked in the direction of probably, in their case, probably the chairman, because they've just got such a poor recruitment policy. Don't know. Go on. You guys have a go, because I can't explain Arsenal at all.
All I want to say to that, John, and add on to that, is that, you know, they're probably the most entertaining YouTube channel at the minute will probably be Arsenal Fan TV.
Oh, wouldn't it just?
Oh, they
the most entertaining channels ever. It's just unbelievable. I watch it all the time.
Yeah, if you go on Spurs' channel, it's same story every week, and that's it. I think it's about 6 seconds long. They're like, we lost.
Yeah.
Oh yes,
that's showing great reserve there, Nick. I tell you, and
I think you're being very harsh. Very harsh on Arsenal. I thought they played one of the best games ever, but they just couldn't do much against Liverpool. What can you say?
I just thought Liverpool were just too good for them. I thought Liverpool were brilliant yesterday. Absolutely brilliant. As much as Arsenal was poor, Liverpool were really, really good. The passing, the football was back. You know, Fabinho back in the middle was making a difference. Trent Alexander-Arnold had a great game yesterday. And I just thought all round we were a better team. You know, I've put us down for soaring this week.
There's a lot of Arsenal fans that are probably really wishing.
Did you know something? It's the pen of Charlie though that's changing all for Liverpool, isn't it, Charlie? Come on, tell everyone. It's your letter. That's what it is.
It's my letter. That's right. Ever since I sent that little love note to Klopp, I said, "Yo, you gotta put Fabinho back into the center, back in into central field, midfield, and you know, have a little trust in your young defenders, because they can handle it." And you know, he immediately called me up, said, "Charlie, you're right with the big I'm gonna do that, thank you very much." And I was like, good. And hey, look at it, it's all in the books now. You know, I think there are 4 straight wins, and we're like five away wins now out of the last 6. And give me a call if you need any other advice. You know, we'll handle it.
What we've laid there, Charlie can write a very powerful letter. Charlie can write a very powerful letter, and Klopp sounds like he's from The Godfather.
It's my bad German impersonation.
Hello, my little friend. No, I just thought we were good. I thought we were brilliant. I'm not going to wax too much Little Clonny, but they were brilliant.
Yeah, I'll also add as well, there was one Liverpool player last week that had mentioned about playing for England, and I thought it was a centre-half. It was actually a lad, Curtis Jones, whose name I couldn't remember, which is probably just as well, because he got sent off for the under-21s on Wednesday night as well, wasn't it? So, and rightly so for causing a bit of a kerfuffle after the game. But another example, he's the type of young player that Liverpool have got coming through that actually will go and put a shift in. And I think that's all you want as a fan, isn't it? You want your players, and you want your young players to know that the club do not have to go every single transfer window and splash the cash to try to bring something fresh within your team. You know, I know I was critical of the lad that they picked up from Schalke, Liverpool a couple of weeks ago, but he's actually, there's a half decent pair in there. They found a way of making it work.
He played well. I was just going to say, Kabak played well yesterday.
Yeah,
the two of them look good. Nat Phillips and Kabak in the centre half.
Yeah,
look really good. So I think Charlie's done a good shout there, getting Klopp to put them in the back half.
Charlie won't want it.
Was he the Japanese player that he bought from somewhere?
No, that was Minamino. He's gone to Southampton on loan. Minamino.
He might stay there too with the
I think he'll stay there. I don't think he quite. It's, you know, as far as if Southampton want to come in for any other Liverpool players, you know, Thiago's free.
Please, yeah, Thiago's free. We'll pay. We'll give you £5. Take him away, please.
I'll pay for his plane ticket to Southampton. Honestly,
the thing about Minamino's not even getting a game for Southampton. He was on the bench as well.
Yeah.
So he's, you know, talk about finding your level.
Yeah. Yeah, he's just. I don't think he's up for the English game. He was all right in Germany. He's not. Up for the English game. It's a different level here. Completely different level. You know,
it's the style of play, though. It's the physicality. I don't think he can. Yeah, it's physicality more than the level. I think he'd probably fit in quite well if he went to a football playing team in Spain, or even went to Italy. You know, where it's not quite that physicality and it's more technically based. I think that's possibly a difference, but that's being very polite towards the lad.
Yeah, I love the change at halftime.
Can we just applaud Alisson's Freddie Mercury moustache?
Oh yeah,
just
didn't he? Yes,
I find it hard to look at him. I'm like, what is that?
I had visions of Tom Selleck. Magnum PI. But then that possibly shows my age as well, doesn't it? Like, you know.
Oh yeah, when you're playing in front of the Cop at 3 and you've got to be at Wembley at 7.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Oh, do you?
Just what the hell is that? Yeah, Freddie Mercury, great show that day.
I love that. Love it.
To be honest with you, I've seen a few of the memes going around, and they are memes. They're not memes, they're memes.
I'm gonna be thinking of coin puns all night now.
Yeah, Freddie Mercury had a great debut for Liverpool yesterday. He didn't do anything. Yeah. Not much you can say about the Liverpool Arsenal game other than what we said, really. You know,
I think we've got to keep it London based, and I think we've made Nick wait nearly 23 minutes into the show.
Let it out,
Nick, the show's all yours, mate. Newcastle 2, Tottenham Hotspur 2.
Well, that was absolutely. Oh, what can I say? I mean, I watched it up until the Cardinal sin. Really, I watched it up until 10 minutes to the end, and I was like, "That's done."
Yeah.
But then I did say last week we would lose this 2-0. So a draw, to me, is still a loss in my eyes, considering they were cruising after scoring that second. Yeah, frustrating. And yet again, Sanchez. It's like one player. If we get rid of Sanchez, and I think he should be playing Alderweireld and Rodon, because Rodon looked quite solid today. He was putting the boot in where it needed to be put in. He was organising his defence. He's a future captain, that's for sure. But Sanchez, oh God, just saying his name is painful. Every week, there are no words. There are no words because I'm so used to this as a Spurs supporter. You just, especially against the lower teams, it's like they go there and go 3 points. It's always 3 points, and then they just switch off and let in stupid goals. Without turning this into an 18+ stream, I don't know where else to go with this. It's just frustrating, and you could see by certain players' body language as well. I mean, when that first goal went in, Lloris was just like, it's just like a training match.
Yeah,
he just looked like he didn't want to be there, and it wouldn't surprise me if he's gone by the end of the season, Lloris.
Yeah,
not through us not wanting him not wanting to be there.
Yeah.
I thought he could go better with that first goal, Nick, Lloris. I thought he just stood there and let it go in.
Yeah.
I thought he could have done better.
Even if you flap to try and put the player off, do something. Don't just give up on it. It's like, it's over my head. But I don't know, blow a raspberry player, or I don't know, just do something to put them off. Because that's all it takes is for that little psych out, and he could skew that or hit the post, or But there we go. It's just, like I said, it's becoming and this is the other really frustrating thing. I'm like really going off on one now. You've lit the blue touch paper. The really frustrating thing is looking at the league and thinking, we're 6 points off a second. How is that possible? We've been rubbish all season. Apart from that, apart from the first 6-7 games, and we was like, oh, we're top here. This is interesting. And then the wheels come off. We've been absolute cack for the majority of the season. Really, really mundane football. And we're still only 6 points off a second.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't sort of get your head around how can someone play that bad and still be where they are in the league? So do you sort of go, well, maybe I'm being too harsh on them, or they are really that bad and this season's it's written off because of what's going on and everyone's struggling, everyone's in the same boat, apart from City, who seem to be laughing.
Yeah.
But today's game,
it was just, it's yet another fixture in the long line of fixtures where you just go, same old Tottenham.
I thought it was more than that today. I've got to say, I was watching the game with a bit of a vested interest because I'd actually had a couple of quid on Tottenham in me last man standing prediction league, and I thought, having had my eldest son disappear yesterday with his Chelsea prediction, and then mine proving equally as fruitless today. But the amount of times, Nick, they gave the ball away so cheaply all over the pitch. They get the ball, there'd be one pass, and then the player would turn and pass the ball into thin air, and there was no player there, and it was just like it'd roll out of play for a throw in, and you're just thinking, hang on, if there was a crowd there, irrespective of whether it was a Newcastle or Spurs fan, you'd be getting absolutely dog's abuse because they were so poor. The level of concentration was so minimal, and the actual level of effort. Now, I know I mentioned this about Arsenal, but for Spurs, if you're playing against, and Newcastle were equally as guilty, but if you're going to try and play the game at pace, that's where you're going to be most successful. But there was players just walking around and just looking soulless in a way. It's the only way I can describe it. They didn't have any passion. They didn't really want to sort of make that impact against Newcastle. And I don't know.
I think he set up for a draw, Mourinho.
Yeah, I don't get it. I honestly don't get it, Nick.
Really and I think if you watch it back, when they first scored Newcastle, I think even Steve Bruce was shocked.
Yeah.
He sort of looked at his assistant and was like,
scored.
It should be 3-0 down now. What's going on?
Yeah. Come on, lads, we got a chance here.
It's flicking through the script. This is not anyhow. Yeah, and it was it was like Keystone Cops at some point. It was just ridiculous. And I was looking at our bench, and as much as I don't think he's a Tottenham player or a Premiership player or whatever, Harry Winks, I couldn't even moan at him because he weren't even on the pitch. Yeah. And I think he would at least show some sort of ambition out on that pitch earlier. Because he does, I'll give him his dues, he does put himself about, but all he does is play sideways and backwards, which really annoys me. But I couldn't even moan at him. So, Sanchez, Charlie, write me a strongly worded letter, Mourinho, to get Sanchez out of my football club.
I tell you, Nick, one of the things that really grated on me in some respects, but as a neutral watching the game, you knew exactly where this ball was going to go. 91st minute, you bring Bale on because it's like 4 minutes of injury time. Why Bale hadn't been brought on in the sort of 75th minute, who knows? No idea. But like he comes on, Spurs get a free kick. His first touch of the game was going to be to take a free kick. Now, from my experience of Sunday League and Saturday afternoon sort of pub team, you don't come on as a sub and you don't get to take the free kick ever. It doesn't. It's never happened in any team I've ever played for. And he got there. He was giving all the Cristiano Ronaldo swagger and stuff. And you knew fine well it was going to Rosette. And that's, lo and behold, that's where it ended up. I just thought, like, you think of all the players on that pitch who busted half a gut. I was going to say busted a gut, but I don't think they would have. They didn't. Busted half a gut to actually play for 90 minutes. And he strolls on thinking, I'll turn up, take the free kick, top right-hand corner, I'll be sorted. Wasn't going to happen. Really wasn't. I just thought that stunk of a sense of arrogance in a way. And I don't say that really easily.
No. He's done himself no favours with the comments that he's made. And I don't know if he's trying to weasel out of it, but he has got a point, but he could have worded it better. He could have got his point across to say, well, look, I've come here to get football or a lot of first-team football because the Euros are coming up. But I am contractually, at the end of the season, I've got to go back to Madrid because that's what the contract is. But instead of going, no, I've come here because, what was it?
I've come here because the golf courses in Spain are shut.
Yeah. Wales, golf, Spurs.
I don't know. I think it's another case of people playing mischief. I know we mentioned it last week about the press and probably the week before as well. And I think in Bale's case, he has to be very careful what he says because he's still on loan. He's still contracted to Real Madrid. So if he comes out and says anything saying, I'd really love to stay at Spurs, then I know Marca would sort of be in the front page of that tomorrow. It'd just be like, Bale wants out. Let's get on his back. He doesn't deserve to play for us no more. And he's playing the game, isn't he? He's playing the game to get back to Madrid. And where he goes next, who knows? I think Madrid have got a year to pay.
Yeah,
600 and whatever thousand a week. And if it was Gareth Bale, I tell you what, I'd be buying myself a whole lot of ping golf clubs. Get yourself sorted. Enough golf clubs to last the rest of your life. And do you know something? They were stupid enough to pay those wages in the first place. So,
I think Bale got to a point where he was believing the hype that his agent had bigged him up with.
Yeah.
Everything his agent said, he was like, would you have said that? He'll never go back to Tottenham. He'll never go. You don't need to go back to Tottenham. Where are you, Gareth? Oh, yeah. You're back in the Tottenham. Yeah. We're the only mucks that would have had you.
Is he good enough to be here, though? Yeah, I don't think he's been good enough this season when he's been back at He's not shown enough for me.
No, I think, he's admitted he's at that. Yeah, again, he's admitted I'm at that age where I'm not going to be as fast as I was when I first was here. So I'm going to have to adapt my game. Whereas his agent was like, no, he's at his peak now. He's at his peak of his game, which is absolute rubbish. Mm-hmm. So I don't know why Mourinho has gone, well, I'm going to do to you what I done to Kane. And I'm going to utilise you in a different way because Kane, we've spoken about it before, Kane's not the quickest pass. And Mourinho knew that. And he was like, you need to be more of a target man. We give it to you, you ping it to whoever, like Mora and Son. Let them do all the donkey work. You pick the ball up, you feed it to them. And you do ultimately the finishing. He could have done exactly the same with Bale, but instead he's like, no, I'm going to do something different with you. And then he's ended up making these silly comments, and Mourinho's gone, well, you know what? You're going to spend the rest of the season on the bench now, I think, after saying that.
Yeah.
Kane's a much better player now that he's done that with him. Kane has gone on to the next level since he's been able to develop his game in that way. So that's a bit of a masterstroke from Mourinho. I was just going to say, I know last week we touched on it and said, that the press are naughty saying this, are taking Kane's words and twisting them and that. I'm going to be a bit naughty and say, what if, the way that the season's going, and the way that the team's going, what if he does want to go? What if he does say, I'm leaving and he's going to go. You know, where does that leave Spurs? Because for me, well, Spurs I would never class as a one-man team, nowhere near it. But he's a big cog in that team, massive cog. I know he's Tottenham through and through. It'd be gut-wrenching for that, but he's
the big domino in this whole thing. He's the thing that will start it off. If he goes, most will follow.
Yeah.
Unless they get a big name to fill his boots, a proven goal scorer or a proven target man who it's going to be consistent every game and he's going to turn up, it will be very difficult to keep hold of who we've got because they are getting bored of not winning anything. I think it's the same as the fans. I think since we punched above our weight and reached that Champions League final, since then everyone's like, well, this is where we need to be. No, we're still a work in progress. And I think if Tottenham fans think that's where we should be, they're all delusional. That's an absolute. They've got to take the rose-tinted glasses off and think about it pragmatically. And it's still a young team. I mean, who's the other player we've got there? I don't even know. Sissoko, maybe? That a push. He's probably the elder statesman there. But it's still a young team. You're averaging like 24, 25-year-olds. So there's still a work in progress. But I think if Kane goes, Lloris will follow. Son will be fairly shortly after, even though he's still in contract, but he's stalling on a contract, I've heard.
Yeah, and there's talk this week about Son going to, was it Bayern Munich? We're sniffing.
Yeah.
And again, it's just paper talk and stuff.
Yeah. But all it takes is, like I said, that way, as much as I'd like to think we're not a one-man team, and there was loads of it bandied about when Kane first started piping up at Spurs and scoring these goals. Oh yeah, he's a one-hit wonder. He won't do it again, and he was consistent. And then when he was out and we did struggle, no, you're a one-man team. But then Son ended up taking over that mantle for a little while. Then Moura started. So we've proven we're not a one-man team. But if he goes, it is a massive loss. An absolute massive loss for Tottenham. And I think Daniel Levy, he knows this, and he's been very sly around what he's doing by saying, well, he's not saying we'd never sell him. Yeah, we'll sell him, but if you've got £200 million spare, he's yours. And he knows he's going to price. And I think Kane knows that as well. Kane's like, I might have to look somewhere else, but I know the chairman's going to price me out of any sort of move in the next year or two. So I might as well just keep my head down, get the Euros out of the way, play me football. At the end of the day, he's getting paid a stupid amount of money still, isn't he?
What is Kane worth to you guys?
To me, I would say he's 80 million. He's an 80 million pound player. I'd say he was when Cristiano Ronaldo and Bale and that went to Madrid. I'd say he's with his attributes he's got now. When he was just a striker, maybe 50 million. What he can do now, definitely 80 million.
Yeah. I say, let him go and sell him and try to bring in a bunch of younger, hungrier guys and to build around Son and Lucas then.
Yeah, Spurs tried that first of all when they got rid of Bale. And, well, it took 4 seasons for them to gel. And I think Spurs fans, again, because we punched above our weight, they're expecting quick success. And it doesn't work like that. You've got to have that basis of a squad to work around. Can't just go, right, there's a load of players, there's a football, win us a trophy.
I think as well, Nick, and I'm going to throw this into the mix because it's possibly a completely different subject, but it possibly avoids you squirming under the pressure. Spurs have just really done my head in today. I've got I can feel your pain, and I'm not a Spurs fan. I really don't particularly like Spurs, but I really felt it. But that talk there about Kane and how much he's worth. I just as you were talking, I just made a little note. And going back to what we're talking about Gareth Bale, You got a player currently at Dortmund in the Erling Haaland, who, after the international games had finished in midweek, his agent, that lovely guy who seems to know all the big players, who just skins millions out of football. But he took Haaland off to Barcelona and to Madrid, just for a little let's get to know you. At which point Man City turned around, and Pep was very clever and very cute and turned around. We're not buying a new striker. Don't be surprised. We're not interested. And I just thought, yeah, let's cut that totally out of the water now. Barcelona and Madrid can't afford to buy anybody at the moment. Spanish football's on its knees. They are absolutely skinned. So they are not going to be going and spending 150 million on Erling Haaland, of which Raul is looking for 20 million. Alfie Inga Haaland is looking for another 20 million per year for him to stay there. And you're thinking, whatever club goes and buys this lad, and I feel really sorry for the lad, because he's going to be in the same position that Bale was, where you're going to be in a club, irrespective of whether the club's right or wrong for you. You're going to be bleeding them dry of cash, and you suddenly find that you like Pulisic. We're talking about him at the start of the show. This Erling Haaland is a young lad. The goals will dry up at some point. He's not going to carry on in this absolutely massive upsurge of form.
One injury.
Yeah,
it would take, and
I just think you look at that and sort of being touted around different football clubs. Look, you could sign here, you could sign here. He's the type of player that Spurs will go in for after Kane's gone. And then they'll end up paying stupid wages, they'll end up paying stupid money for him. And you'll end up with half the player that actually Kane dug out 2 goals today and actually didn't deserve either of the goals, but he knew where the back of the net was. And that's the difference. You put someone like Haaland into that team, and he's got no supply. There's absolutely nothing coming up front at all. So where would the poor lad be then? Yeah, where would anybody be in that Spurs team? Because there's no creativity at all, and that's been completely goes back to Mourinho. And I've had a rant about Mourinho before. I thought what he did at Manchester United was criminal, and what he's doing at Spurs is criminal. He's taking clubs backwards.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't the biggest advocate of Mourinho when he first came here. And then I'm like, right, well, he's got to try and mould this team. Oh, benefit of the doubt, he's got to mould this team to how he wants it. And then we started playing football. I was like, well, hang on, he might have found his footing. He didn't do it at United. All right, yeah, he won a trophy, but it was dirty football.
Yeah.
But he's come here and we've started playing, and then something went wrong somewhere along the line. And I look to Mourinho now like a dementor from Harry Potter. He's sucking the life out of the game.
Yeah.
And he's just going to places. You think, I don't know if he's got in his head, we've got 9 games to go, 9 points. If we draw them all, let's just do that. And no Spurs fan, well, no football fan wants to play for 9 draws. What's the point of that? But going on to what you were saying about being sort of prostituted around to football clubs and stuff. Here's a thought that it's randomly popped into this black hole I call a brain. But if a football team now, so the likes of your Real Madrid, your Barcelonas, your Man Cities, can afford a player for nearly 200 million and pay £400,000 a week in wages, I would be getting the fair play panel to be going, where's this money coming from?
Yeah.
Because they've got no revenue for tickets. They're not doing any sort of pay-per-view stuff.
Yeah.
So where is this money coming from? Where's the fair play in that? Because none of these other teams are getting this sort of cash.
Mm-hmm.
I think that'll come out in the wash. I know people are saying that the financial fair play is not currently in place throughout Europe, but it has to be done because City have been sort of given abuse for it in the past. And I think as we move forward, I think what needs to happen is Barcelona and Madrid. I know because I've got a good friends who are in Spain and sort of feedback to me about Spanish football, and all it is at the moment is they are not wanting to lose face as regarding not being left out of that little circle of, we're going to sign this, this, and this. If Messi leaves Barcelona, there's going to be a massive wage uplift there where they can actually afford to buy somebody and probably mortgage some part of the club to get somebody in. But Madrid, I don't know where Madrid go, apart from selling all the players that are coming to the end of a contract.
And the fact that
nobody's got to do that with Bale, are they?
Yeah, and the fact that they're redoing their stadium and they're building a whole new tier on that stadium. So you're thinking, well, you've got the money for that's probably through sponsorship, so I'll let them have that bit.
Yeah.
But when you're paying all these wages and you're still managing to pay for players that are nearly in the excess of 100 million plus, you're like, where is this money coming from when you've got absolutely no ticket sales and pretty much every club on the planet is recording a loss? So
where would you think Kane could end up? That's between the four of us, where do you think Kane could end up? Come on, start with Charlie.
How old is he now? Is he 33, 30? How old is Kane?
No, he's about 26.
He's in his mid-20s, yeah.
Oh, really?
He just looks as if he's had a hard life.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
I'd like his hard life, I'll tell you that much.
Oh, yeah,
I would say he would stay in England purely because he has two younger children that have not really of school age yet, so he won't want to uplift them. So I'll probably say, if anywhere, it would be City or Man United. I would hate it if he went to Man United because I don't think they're good enough.
Yeah,
I think they are really, really punching above their weight, and it's making Solskjaer look like a good manager when I know for full well he's not. Because you just got to see what he done at Cardiff. That was rubbish.
No, for me, despite the positions, I think the two top teams in the country are still City and Liverpool. But so it'd be either one of them two he'd go to. But I just don't think Liverpool could afford them. So I think he's more likely to get City. He'd go to City more than anyway. They're probably the only team that could afford them at the moment. Because Daniel Levy, he pushes a hard deal through, and I'd like to have him as a chairman at my club because he does do some good deals. So I think it's going to be either City, but I think he could go abroad. If you think Paris is not that far from London, it's probably just as quick to get to Paris as it is Manchester. He wouldn't have to uproot his family there. He'd be able to commute there.
And I'd still go City purely because most of the England boys are there as well. So he's not on his own.
Yeah.
You've got Sterling, you've got Kyle Walker, you've got John Stones. You know what I mean? It's a nice little England set up there, and he can walk in, and he's not, even though he's the new boy, he knows someone there.
I think he could offer City something they haven't got, and a different setup to their team that they haven't got, and that's if he's played as that out striker that Mourinho just doesn't seem to want to play him in, because he'll always get you goals, And could you imagine him with the service that comes from the City midfield, or the service that comes from just De Bruyne on his own? Yeah, it's just done better thinking in some respects. But you can pick.
You've got a blindfold De Bruyne for these games as a handicap. He's got to go out there with a hood on.
Oh, the ball De Bruyne played yesterday, was it their second goal? Was just like, it was just millimeters away from the defender, just total class, and don't know. Anyway, we've digressed. Sorry, guys, I'm just aware of it. Look at the time. It's all that chat of Spurs. Yeah, I could talk about City for ages. Actually, just as a matter of course, we always sort of revert back there because this weekend they've actually just, they've only just beaten the team that's currently in third in the Premier League, and beaten them well. And that was another game that was, I thought on paper, I thought Leicester would have had a chance there, but they weren't allowed to. City just doing what they do when they're just total breed apart this season. But where do we want to go next, guys? Because I'm just aware we're sort of 50 minutes in, We've not given any awards. We're not crucified Big Sam. See, keeping up the Easter theme.
You can't crucify Big Sam this week, John.
No. It's Easter weekend. We'll give him the weekend off.
That was one of the things that popped in my head when I seen the result yesterday. I thought John will be happy. I don't know, the big mad results like Aston Villa Fulham today. You know, I didn't watch that game. There's obviously so many games you can watch, and I went, I want to watch the Man United game rather than the Villa games. I thought there's probably not going to be much into that. How wrong could I have been? It was a wrong game for me to choose with the United game. I'm gutted I didn't see the Villa game. You know, but I've read the lead up of the 3 goals in 9 minutes at the end when they were trailing 1-0. You know, Fulham looking like they're going to get that 3 points. You know, and look closing the gap to Newcastle in that relegation battle. But I think with that result today, 8 games to go, I just don't see Fulham getting out of that top 3 now. After that,
I'd agree with that, Stephen. And I've got to say, it was really, that was one game this weekend that my heart completely ruled me head, because I honestly thought Fulham would have got something today.
Yeah,
and if they had, I really thought, even when Newcastle getting a draw with Spurs, I thought it really would have made that relegation battle just come to life in some ways. But Fulham, as with Brighton against Man United, you know, Brighton were in the game all the way through the first half. I thought they were good value for the first half. But they, you know, I think they just didn't have the game management. Both sides, Fulham didn't have it. They didn't manage the game well enough, and they allowed Villa to come back at them big time. And fair play to Villa, because they've had a few bad weeks with Grealish being injured. And probably those people who've stuck with Watkins up in their fantasy football team, not naming names, but he actually came up trumps for once today. So I've got to be thankful for that. But again, Villa are another strange team. You know, they've got 41 points. They're below Leeds, but they've got 2 games in hand above everybody. So they win both their games in hand, one of which is, I think, against Everton. So that'll probably happen, won't it? But if they do that, they're up to 7th or 8th, and they're in that same mix. They're in the same mix with West Ham, Spurs, and Everton. And I think for Villa, they're under the same frustrations that I think Spurs fans are, because I think they've got the makings of a half decent team, and when Grealish has been injured, they haven't turned up. They must be looking and thinking, what could possibly happen if we'd have kept Grealish fit? They could have been really pushing towards 4th or 5th, just like Liverpool are. And I think you know, you guys are probably looking now and thinking, do you know, we could actually sneak this last Champions League place, whereas 3 weeks ago that was looking very, very doubtful.
It was looking very, very doubtful, yeah.
And that's how tight it is. It is so tight, and it is just on the whichever team for these last 8 games, who's going to put a run of actual consistent results together, because that's what's costing everybody. That complete lack of consistency. And I think we said we thought Brighton were sort of done and dusted. We thought they were safe a few weeks ago. So 32 points. It's not beyond the realms.
Yeah,
Burnley are on 33, not beyond the realms. But then that's probably me sort of falling into sort of TV sales territory, isn't it? You know, you're trying to stir up a bit of interest in a few games that are possibly not worth watching. But Burnley were really great today. It's just one of them frustrating things, you know. Burnley Southampton 5-goal thriller.
Yeah, they were 2-0 up.
Yeah, neither team could defend for peanuts. They really couldn't.
And it's
again.
The same story every season, isn't it? It's the same story every season. When you get to that last 8 or 9 games, the people down the bottom are like, right, we better start playing football now, boys. And everything's about to get really interesting. You're like, oh, God's sake.
I just don't see anything other than the bottom three that are there going down. I don't see anyone else. I think Brighton, he said they've done 32 points. They're on 32 points there. They've got a game in hand on Fulham. You know, West Brom, they're 11 points ahead of them. I think West Brom and Sheffield United, you might as well just class them as they're in the Championship next season.
Yeah. And I would have said until today, Stephen. Like I say, my heart has really ruled my head because I've really thought Fulham could actually do something. And irrespective of which team it was, it could be Newcastle or Brighton or even Burnley. But just for Steve Bruce at Newcastle, I was hoping it was them. I actually feel that Fulham's result today is possibly the one that's clinched that bottom three. To me, look like you said, the three that are going to go down.
Yeah, definitely. Look, so going back to Villa though with Jack Grealish, did you see him going? I think, do you reckon they'll keep hold of him in the summer? He had a really good season. I know he's had a few injuries, but he's had a really good season in the Premier this year.
Yes.
I would say wait till after the Euros. If he gets to go to the Euros and he gets to play and he has a good Euros, maybe.
Yeah.
But maybe someone wants to pick him up, Nick, before the Euros, because generally in a big tournament like that one, if you have a good tournament, the price goes up, doesn't it? The price tends to increase if you have a good tournament.
Then when they look at it and go, oh, well, he's been injured for the last, I don't know how long. Is that a risk we're willing to take, or should we play out the Euros and see if he gets injured in that?
Yeah.
Let's start my next letter. There, Jurgen. Milner's getting old. Grealish looks great.
Get it posted, Charlie. Get it posted. Send it first class. We'll all go halves with you.
I think you spelled Milner wrong. It's Sandhez.
Sanchez.
Do you know what I'm going to say? I'm going to say something I actually would hate to actually happen, and I can see in Gareth Southgate's eyes. I know I dig about Southgate last week, but I can see him not picking Grealish for the Euros. He's that pedantic. He's that pedantic about playing his flipping system, and Grealish doesn't fit into any system. That's similar to really good footballers in the past have done. They've got their own way of playing. They don't fit into your little mould, and they don't fit into your preconditioned. You have to stick to playing this, and this. And I could see him just not picking him, just saying, "Oh well, I don't think you're fit enough, son." You know, keep playing them. I
think it's the socks. He's got to learn to. You got to pull up your socks. If you're going to be on the England team, you got to pull up those socks.
Yeah.
Strict code.
Stop putting Ritz crackers and shin pads down your socks. And
we touched on this last week, though, didn't we, about England? It's always the same old people who are going to sit in and eat the. Yeah, it's like we just have a Harry Potter all the time in charge of England, all the time. Got to have that 4-4-2, lads. You got to stick at your left back. You got to stick at your right back. Don't move off that, and that's probably why Trent Alexander-Arnold wasn't picked, because Trent likes to bomb forward, you know. Yeah. And it's probably the same why Nick Grealish wouldn't get picked as well, because heaven forbid England have a team that has a bit of adventure in them, because it's worked so well having such a structure the way we've had since 1966, doesn't it?
And if anyone watched the show last week and you come from Scotland, you'll know why that really amuses me. Stephen gets the Motti Award for this week.
Yeah, definitely.
You talk about England, it's got to be 1966.
We won the World Cup once at a 4-4-2 with everyone sticking in positions, and we haven't moved off that strategy since.
Does anyone remember what game we used 4-4-2 for the last time as a national team where we got absolutely whacked? Where most of the rest of the footballing world were like, we don't use 4-4-2 because it doesn't work. And the English were like, yeah, no, it still works. Can anyone remember what team it was? No? Hungary. We got absolutely mullered by Hungary. I think it was 5 or 6-0. And it just went to prove that 4-4-2 was dead in the water at that point. I think it was just after we'd won the World Cup, actually.
Yeah.
The Hungarians came over to Wembley and Gibson didn't.
Yeah. But they rolled everyone over at that particular time to Hungary, didn't they?
Yeah.
Just like, yeah. Lesson in football in history as well, Nick. That's what we like on a Sunday night. Bit of everything. Bit of therapy for the Spurs fans, bit of therapy for the Arsenal fans and the Chelsea fans. Got a touch of everything. A bit of history as well. And Charlie's magic writing skills of just ensuring that every wish is your command.
I wish Sanchez would vanish off the planet. Has anyone got an infinity gauntlet?
See, I had a couple of rides written down today for the games as well, which we haven't done.
Yeah.
I had soaring for Arsenal and Liverpool because Liverpool just soared back into winning ways and the way they played. And Leicester Man City, I had as Speedway because I just thought City got the result by just chugging away. They weren't particularly great. That pass from De Bruyne, take that from. That's just world class. You're going to get that off him. But in terms of a team performance, it was just like they just chugged away at it, didn't they? Do you know what I mean? That's where I was at with it. And West Brom Chelsea was more like Dinosaur Will. That was a jolt of a result. What's going on? Wow.
I'd like to put the Spurs game down, not so much as a ride, but as, would you call it an attraction? Probably not even that. It's the shop. That circus that's in Magic Kingdom.
Storybook circus.
Yes, because they're an absolute joke. It was like watching the circus. Turn up into town, make you laugh.
I'll tell you what, it's an experience this for me and Charlie because I think since we started doing this show, it's only been me and Charlie that's been moaning on this show. We finally get a win and it's Nick who's coming on, he's having a whinge. But that's what it's good for, isn't it? So, who do you think for Mickey of the week then?
We all know it's going to be. Jose Mourinho. I mean, no, Big Sam.
No, I think he gets the Goofy of the award this week, I think. Him or Arteta.
Yeah.
He'd probably still take it because it's an award.
He was, yeah.
Just about sums him up. He would definitely do it. Oh, I love that. I've got to say, Stephen, I'll have to say be the one who says it because I've been the one who's whinged about Big Sam the most. But West Brom thoroughly deserved the Mickey Award this week, and I thought we'd never, ever say that.
Yeah, I gave them the Mickey too.
But the style of football in which they actually went to Stamford Bridge and played football. And it's one of them things when the team knows that they're down, throw off all the shackles, throw off all of that fear, the fear of losing. They didn't really give a stuff. They just went and enjoyed themselves, and they actually played some really good football. And that was it was quite a surprise for an Allardyce.
It's a little bit easier to do when you're against 10 men too, of course,
But just after watching those highlights at the beginning of the show, when you're in America and you go past a car lot and you see those, I don't even know what you call them, like the mascots that sort of blow like that. That was Chelsea's team. He was absolutely diabolical. Why was he even there? They could have put a cardboard cutout there who probably would have done a better job. He was absolutely rubbish. So I think just on that alone, that scoreline flattered West Brom purely because Chelsea's keeper was non-existent today. Joke performance.
I thought West Brom did
the volume was good. I enjoyed the volume. That was brilliant.
I think he did the down to 10 men. West Brom going to get a 5-2 victory. even with 10 men, that's a good result there.
Yeah.
You know, particularly when they're down there fighting for survival, like.
But I still gave them the Mickey, West Brom. Do we agree on West Brom?
I think we've got
So who's your goofy then?
I've got Arteta or Arsenal or Tottenham.
Yeah, I got my goofy too right there. Arsenal gets my goofy.
Arteta, yeah. I thought, but to be fair to Arteta, he come out at the end of the game yesterday and he admitted it. He held his hands up. He said, "I got it wrong." You know, that was nice to hear off a manager to go, "Do you know what? I got my tactics wrong. I went to go and play for the defensive kind of way, and I got it wrong. That's not the player's fault. It's my fault." Yeah. Fair play to him. Fair play to him for that. But he still deserves the Goofy Award for me because of that gaff he's made. He's watched Liverpool get a struggle against teams that have just sat back. But the differences between the teams who've done that to us and Arsenal is that the fact that the other teams can actually defend, they can't. You know, you got Aubameyang playing left back.
Right.
That's not going to work. You know.
I think Arsenal are very closely pushed though by Chelsea.
Yeah,
you know, I think we've been very complimentary towards Thomas Tuchel since he took over from as manager from Lampard.
Yeah,
and we've been impressed with the fact that he set them up. Obviously playing his system, not going to get beat by much, and actually they were another team. They just didn't turn up, and I don't know. I think Chelsea have gone back a much bigger step this week than even Arsenal, which is saying something. You know, I don't think Arsenal could get much lower, but I don't know, Chelsea just missed it. They missed the trick. You know, the team selection was poor. You know, Mason Mount, after playing so well for England, is then on the bench. You know, I don't know, just worth a shout. And you shouldn't be getting beat. Even with 10 men, you shouldn't be getting beat 5-2 off West Brom. Ever. No. But I'd probably agree with it at the end. I think the Goofy has to go with Arsenal, and it has to go with a team that actually.
It would have been interesting for the cameras to have a look on Chelsea's bench at the old goalkeeper, that Kepa. I'll bet he was sat there with a massive grin on his face.
Yeah. It was interesting. I was reading just before we started tonight. There was they were pulled in for training today. And Rudiger and Kepa had an argument in training, and Rudiger got sent off in training and sent back to the changing rooms to calm down for 10 minutes. And again, he was one of the names behind Lampard getting the sack and stuff like that. I don't think it's a very happy. I don't think just the dynamics within Chelsea possibly are one that we might get to find out in another 3 or 4 years' time as to what's going on there.
Yeah. It only takes one bad egg, that John, in the dressing room. One negative thinking mind, and that's it. It can bring the whole team down.
Yeah.
And it's spelled SANCH.
I was going to go bigger than that, though. I was going to go for Mourinho. I actually think he's killing your club. He's killing your club, Nick. He's strangling everything that was good under Poch, and he's just ripping it apart. And
I'm not normally one, and I've said it on here before. You know, I'm not one for like saying get rid of the manager. You got to give them time. But he's one manager you just don't give time to. He's doing it now. He did all right. He did well at Chelsea. You know, when his first time. Yeah, his first time round. But he's never really rekindled that anyway. But he's been
played interesting football then, didn't he? It was attacking football, and now it's I don't know what it is. I don't know what you could call it apart from boring. But
he's gone back to the mode when he was at Porto when he first made his name. Yeah. And that is anti-football. It's not creating anything, just not getting beat, just making sure that you grind out anything to ensure that you get a draw. And if you have to fall over, you have to cheat, which he did at Porto, probably most famously, I think, against Celtic in a European final, where they just fell over. People had just sort of walked past him and they'd fall over, and it was as blatant as that. They just set up to get any advantage, and I don't know. It's not happening for me. It's not, Nick, and I would hate for the man to be anywhere around my football club.
Well, hopefully.
Bring back Poch.
You never know what happens. You might see Mourinho move. You might see another manager come in. Don't know. Maybe Daniel Levy's got other ideas. You don't know, do you?
Yeah.
Well, I've seen the shortlist, and I'm not impressed with any of them. To be fair. So is it better the devil you know, or what? I don't know.
I think after Charlie's success with Klopp, I'd have Charlie sorting it all out myself.
Yeah.
I'd have Charlie. I get Charlie in. He can sort these things.
Well, my letter would be very, very heavily redacted, so it wouldn't make any sense.
Some good young managers coming through the ranks in this country. Lampard, Gerrard's doing well up in Scotland with Rangers. I'd like to see a team like Spurs who's like trying to bridge that gap from up into the top end of the league. Take a chance on a manager like that and give them 5 or 6 years and see where it gets you.
Yeah.
I think Spurs right club for a manager like that now, Lampard or Gerrard, to go and do something which is, as I think they do well there. I think they really would. I like Frank Lampard. I think he done well at Derby. I think he was hardly done by Chelsea. Gerrard just took the first title off Celtic in God knows how long.
Yeah.
Yeah. We all know it's different up there. We all know that you can win a title up there and be mediocre down here. It's happened before. But I'd certainly say we've got 2 really good young managers, good English managers there. Where I'd like to see a team like Tottenham give them a go, and give them 5-6 years. Give them 5 or 6 years. Have a go. Let's see where you're at with it. Because I'd hate to see us give Mourinho 5 or 6 years because you're wasting those 5 or 6 years. Club around about that.
I'm wary of the time, but I'd just like to add that Spurs are that team that will ruin any manager. No matter who comes there, we seem to ruin every manager. So, you look at the likes of Brendan Rodgers going to Liverpool and doing what he done there, and then going to Leicester and doing what he done there. If he come to Tottenham, we'd kill him. Yeah. They just wouldn't play.
Yeah,
they just wouldn't play. And it's so. We sit there and go, "Oh well, get them to Tottenham." What was it that they said with Mourinho? He'd not lost 5 games under bounce or whatever, or he'd not lost this in Europe. As soon as I heard that, I'm like, well, he's at Tottenham, so I expect it because it's going to happen. And I'm like, oh, there's your new record, Mourinho. Enjoy. You wouldn't have got it anywhere else.
So what do you think you need to do then, Nick? Is it if it's more than the manager? What is it then? What is that needs changing, fixing? Shall we say, or what do you think it is? It can't be because it's Tottenham and you got this hoodoo on you. It can't be that. There's got to be something within the club structure that could be changed to allow that. I thought Pochettino done well at Tottenham. I thought he done really well.
I did.
He got his Champions League.
I think they got rid of him at the wrong time because Tottenham then were in that transition of maybe we are a big club. We've reached the Champions League final. We've done it the bloody hard way. Yeah. We're finished in the top 4 consistently for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
But now we've got to make that transition up. We've got to become a good club to a brilliant club. Yeah. And they started losing. He's probably trying different tactics. Well, I'm going to have to start moving people around because you're getting that bit older. You might be slowing your pace up. So I've got to now train you to do a different role while I bring fresh blood in to take over the role that you've done. Like Mourinho's done with Kane. And it didn't seem to be working. And the typical fickle Tottenham fan and chairman have gone, nah, we want success yesterday. So, sorry, mate, going to have to go. Instead of going, right, we'll retreat this year as a transitional year and see where we end up at the end of the year. If it's not working, then we might have to have a sit down and a chat about it.
Mm-hmm.
But don't go 5 games or 6 games into a season and go, sorry, Poch, it's not working, mate.
Yeah.
Well, I'm trying something new.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. And I think the problem he's got at the moment, Levy, again, I'm wary about the time, but the problem Levy's got at the moment is he's paid so much money for Mourinho. We know he's got such a big buyout clause that he's been backed into a corner. And it's like, well, this transitional period this year, we're proper bugged. You know what I mean? We've got to stick with this no matter what, because I can't afford 50 million in the current climate to buy him out.
Yeah.
So he's sort of done his own legs Levy there. But we'll see.
And it hasn't helped the fact that it was an Arsenal loanee that scored the equaliser. That doesn't help in Joe Willock. It also doesn't help that Newcastle's Joe Linton. Right now, this is a stat for you, Nick. This is one where you really just sort of want to just sort of go and throw stuff at the TV when you go and watch Match of the Day 2 in a minute. Right, Joe Linton scored 4 goals in 62 Premier League appearances. He's that prolific, right? But two of those goals, two of his goals have come in 4 games against Spurs, right? 2 in 58 versus every other team, and that sums it up, doesn't it? That just totally sums Spurs up. And if Kane goes, they'll go and buy Joe Linton. He's at 4 in 62, just so that he doesn't score those 2 goals. It's just crackerjack stuff. Absolutely crackerjack. So yeah, I felt your pain, Nick. I really have. I knew it was going to be one of them tonight. It's not been good. And credit to Newcastle.
Yeah.
I'll leave it there. That's my only moment of credit to Newcastle. Because I'm not even. No, that's it. No more than that.
I'll tell you what, John. It'll be a nightmare. You've got to give Steve Bruce the Mickey Award next week, won't it?
Hey, can you imagine that? Could you imagine? Oh, flipping heck! Yeah. You got me. I'm now scratching Newcastle. Oh, they're away at Burnley next week.
Yeah, Tottenham have got a good game next week. They got Man United next week.
Man United at home, yeah. I tell you, Arsenal are away at Sheffield United.
That'd be good.
Yeah, I might have a look at Paddy Power for that one.
Yeah, I might have put a couple of quid on Sheffield United.
I know, I was thinking that as well.
Well, Sheffield United are a physical side, isn't they? Where Arsenal try and be all fancy, they'll kick them up into the
Yeah. And the game of next weekend, we've actually got Man City against Leeds, which is the lunchtime game. So, Charlie, that's your Saturday morning game next weekend.
That's the early game, yeah.
Yeah, that'll be. Do you know what a nice way to start the weekend? Game, I do too. I think there's two entertaining teams. So that'll be 0-0 then.
Boring 0-0 at that, yeah. All right, let's go. Let's watch this one, set the weekend off. 90 minutes, I'll never get back in my life. That's what at the end of it.
Exactly. Oh, fantastic.
Brilliant. So this week's Goofy is Arsenal. This week's Mickey is West Brom. Fat Sam. Let's not give it West Brom. Let's give it to Fat Sam.
Let's give it to West Brom.
Right, thanks for tuning in, guys. Brilliant. Thanks for joining us again this week, lads, and we enjoyed it again. So we'll be back next week, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And what a couple of games going on.
For more Sunday night football in therapy.
Hopefully Nick is in a better mood after beating Man United.
And
then not next week. I think it's a couple of weeks. I think it's 3 weeks from now. We've got the cup final. We've got the special coming up. I'm going to be doing a couple of shows that day, I think. Looking at the build up and doing the football after it. The Tottenham v Man City. Can Tottenham get the first trophy since, when was it, Nick? When was the last time you have lifted it up?
2006.
Is it?
That's better than Everton, then.
That's not bad then.
Yeah, that's better than Everton.
Yeah. I was talking about Everton's trophies, John. I believe the people, all the Everton fans that last saw Everton won a cup, they're all getting the second dose of the vaccine next week.
I have one of them. I have one of them as well. See you, mate. Yeah. 1995, remember it well.
1995, that's it. On that bombshell. See you next week.
Thanks for watching, everyone.